Hello, everybody. I'm Philip Cortez, and welcome to video number 1. Now, you're gonna have to bear with me a little bit because this is all new to me, this whole medium video, right? I mean, I go to schools, I do webinars, I love the face-to-face, I like to write, obviously, but when it comes to this medium, I'm fairly new to it, but you know what I like about this? I like the authenticity, okay? It's gonna be raw. I mean, here I am, I'm wearing a hat, totally not camera ready, so to speak, but it's coming from the source. It's coming from hopefully a good place. And what I want to do is I want to talk a lot about this latest book of mine, the Happy Manifesto, aimed at teachers and parents and even students. I mean, as a children's book author, I just kind of took a left turn with the Happy Manifesto, and I decided, you know what? I'm going into too many schools. I'm talking to so many students out there. Dog barking, by the way. But there's always going to be those kids that I know they're getting bullied. I mean, I can see it. I can see it in their faces. And it was one kid in particular, and I mentioned this kid in the intro to the Happy Manifesto. He just came up to me and was really antsy, really shy. He wanted to ask a question, but almost bailed out on it. But his teacher was like, go ahead. And so he just kind of looked at me, and I just knew. I knew. He asked me a simple question about walking home from the bus stop, and if I was afraid to do that. And what he was talking about was a line from a book, When I Closed My Eyes, that I had written back in 2011 or something like that, 2013. And, that's a line that a lot of kids, ironically, they laugh at that line because I talk about their abuelita, their grandma in that line. I kind of follow that up. But, oh boy, yeah, this kid, you could see it all over his face. And I did later find out that Child Protective Services would come to his house, and he just had a rough go, him and his siblings. So I think that's kind of what it was. I started out just writing a blog and just writing about that experience, and then the words just kept on coming and coming and coming. And so my goal for this project here was to just create a little manifesto, not razor thin, and talk about how 3 simple but impactful rules, if we just followed those as people, as teachers, as parents, as students even, we might be able to create happier classrooms, happier homes, happier environments, because we're following just 3 simple rules. So enough about that, about this new medium, this new endeavor here. I'm excited about it because, why not, right? I think that's kind of the topic today. Why not? And I'm also talking to potential writers or fellow authors, right? Because, I get asked all the time, how do you become an author? How did you get into this? And kids ask this a lot, adults ask this a lot. And I tell them the same thing. We all have stories. We all have stories. I walk into a classroom or I see kids on a video screen on a webinar, and every face is a story. We all have something great to share, something positive to share. But I like to tell the story about my old coach, Leo Cancellare, at Cathedral High School in El Paso, Texas. And Coach Leo, before he passed away, he died of cancer on a Good Friday of all days. But about a month or so before he passed away, I came back to El Paso to visit him and to thank him, because he had written me an incredible letter of recommendation to get into graduate school, and I totally didn't deserve it. I mean, you'd read the letter and you're like, this isn't me he's writing about, right? But he just encouraged me. He believed in me, and he said, everything, you might not believe it, but that's what I see, in that letter. That's how I perceive you, and you got to do a better job of looking at yourself that way too. And I took that to heart, and he was walking away and he said, two words are going to carry the day. These 2 words are going to make sure that if you say them to yourself, it could be the hot girl, okay, that you want to ask out. It could be the job that you might not be qualified for. Anything within your grasp that you might feel you're not good enough, if you say these 2 words, everything's going to be great. He looked at me and he said, yeah, you're going to be fine. I'm just an average guy that tries hard. And I'll never forget those words. I'm just an average guy that tries hard, which is ironic because he was so above average, this man. And he starts walking away and I'm thinking, Coach, what were the words? And he said, oh yeah, F it. And I just laughed. And of course he didn't say F it, he said the full on word. But I just laughed and I just shook my head and he walked away. And that's the last time I saw him alive. And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that moment because essentially, when people ask you, how did you become an author? Or how did you put yourself out there? Well, gosh, it did start when I was 19 and I decided, you know what? I'm gonna ask Troy Aikman a question, even though he's not supposed to talk to the media. So I did. Or I'm going to turn in this homework assignment and in college, and hopefully the sports editor at the local paper will look at it and maybe hire me on and take a chance. F it, right? I'm going to submit to an agent. I'm going to submit to a publishing house. I'm going to keep on writing these little stories and I'm going to try and make a difference and find my voice. F it. I'm going to just follow a career path and keep building on, right? And every single time, every moment I had when I thought, am I good enough? Or why me? The answer in return automatically is, why not? F it. Just do it. Get yourself out there. I have a story too, why not me? Okay, why does it always have to be somebody else, right? So it's almost a challenge. It's what I tell people all the time. Challenge yourself, get out there, all right? It's gonna be okay. The worst somebody can ever tell you is no. In my case, I had a well-known publisher tell me that I didn't read enough. And I was in my early 20s when this happened. And I was fresh off getting published at the literary magazine at the University of San Francisco. So I was stoked, right? I mean, you're talking about a really creative place. And I thought, wow, okay, I've landed. I've made my imprint, okay? I belong. And it just so happened that I didn't, I mean, I made it to one level, but gosh, you make it to that level and there's sky's the limit. I mean, you got to keep working on your craft. You got to keep trying to get better. And the blog that I've been writing over the last several years has always been called Better Than Good. And it's the first rule of happiness in the Happy Manifesto. Always be better than good. But with this video, with this new medium, with this new challenge in front of me, I got to try and be greater than good, right? Because my name's on it. My name's on this. So I have to own that. And I can't be afraid. If 0 people like it, or I don't get the little thumbs up, and I get a lot of those, hopefully that doesn't happen. What you are going to get here is authenticity. And ultimately, as writers, as authors, as people, it doesn't matter. You could be a salesman. They're not buying the product, they're buying you. So I've always been a huge believer in that. And that's what this first video is. F it. Why not? Why not? Okay. So in future videos, I want to talk to parents. I want to talk to teachers. I want to talk about their stories too. Obviously, we'll talk a lot more about this guy and other projects that I'm working on right now. But I want to be able to lend others a voice, including other independent authors that might struggle through the fray, so to speak. There's a lot of noise out there. There's so many things that'll take your attention away from a book. And, I think it was Andre Agassi that said it one time, there's always something incredible waiting on the other side of tired. So, yeah, tired of hearing a lot of that noise out there, a lot of the you know, a lot of these social media posts that absolutely do nothing but suck the energy out of the room and take up our time. Ultimately, what I want to do is I just want to give you value. That's what I want to do. I want to just provide some value and share good stories. They mostly might not even be mine. I want to share really good stories from all of you out there and be authentic in the process and have fun. That's what it's all about, right? F it.